Hi everyone, my name's Tori and I'm a mindset coach, and today I'm going to talk to you about quitting my pharmacy job. It's something that you've asked about and I can imagine people are very curious about it, but I'm putting a little twist on it because I have an offering, a free offering called Light Lessons. It's a little guide and journal that I've made about mindfulness. Obviously that's very important to me. And it's 8 principles of mindfulness, like the core things. And so I'm going to take you through my thought process coming to this huge decision to quit a very lucrative, on paper, very successful doctorate position and do my own thing, be an entrepreneur and help people enjoy their lives. Links will be below if you want to follow along, but I am just going to dive right in. So let me just start with where I was at. I graduated pharmacy school 2016, moved out to Colorado. That was one of my follow your heart decisions as I was 5 months pregnant with my husband and my dog. And we came out here, we're in the Boulder area and loving life, found a job in an independent pharmacy, which is rare, and worked through the ranks there and ended up at doing a clinical position, building a clinical position, and at 32 hours a week, benefits, all the things amazing on paper. Heart wasn't in it, and this huge eclipse season has helped bring light to that, and I will give props to my blue appetite as well. I'm into stones. Anyway, so the first principle in Light Lessons is clarity. So you need to gain clarity about your decision, right? Like there are options in life and you have choices. Another thing that I'm really into is law of attraction, and a term that Abraham uses a lot is contrast. And so when you live, you experience contrast, or maybe situations that you did not enjoy. And rather than really like dwell on the things that aren't going the way you want in life, you can use that as evidence of what you do want. So for instance, there was a lot of this within the 2 years I was at this pharmacy, almost 2 years. I moved into a management position. From there I really realized I do not like managing, and so what do I like, right? Instead of just really honing in on those and focusing on those things, you take them and you revise. You just keep revising exactly what you want. And sometimes, you know, you have one experience and you know what you want from that. But sometimes, like in this position, it was like I had to keep living it. I just had to keep narrowing down what it is that I wanted in my career. It's just really hard when you're going through like the thick of it. I understand. Like I'm talking about this from a place of like relief, but throughout these 2 years there were definitely days and weeks that I was unhappy and like trying to decide what to do next. I had a pretty difficult transition into full-time. I was part-time for all of my pregnancy and quite a while after maternity leave, and then it came up that I would be a manager, and that was just the natural next thing to do. And I am a high achiever, I'm a go-getter, I'm a people pleaser, so I did that thing, even though like during school the whole time I was like, I do not want to manage, this just not something I think I'm good at. But then I took it from a place like I haven't tried it, maybe I will be good at it. Not the case. And so I'm just someone that like sticks to something, right? Like I don't really just give up, which has been a huge lesson for me as well in mindfulness. Like it's okay to change your mind because you're experiencing that contrast, and that's the gift you have as a creator and as living this life. Like this is your one life, so do the thing you want. I recognized it was not management, so I moved into this clinical position where I'm actually speaking to patients, and that's amazing, right? And so I'm honing it in, and I want to work less. I don't want to work 40 hours. I get to 32 hours. I get benefits. I'm getting what I want, which is amazing, but it's still more evidence that I'm like, you know, in my head I'm thinking I'm moving the right direction in the field that I want, in the field, but I wasn't taking a look at the profession and how that fits me. I was looking at the position within the profession, not the profession fitting me. if that makes sense. Like, I just got this degree. Of course I'm not gonna not do pharmacy. I'm paying back this degree, right? So that's kind of clarity. And then the next lesson is reflection. So just taking the opportunity to reflect on the decision. Once you know what you want, it's time to, you know, kind of weigh some things, because there probably will be consequences. There might be sacrifice. So you really need to take, I say rumination often because I'm an anxious person. So often I'm like looping in my head a situation or a scenario, and I like to take those opportunities where I just cannot turn my mind off and try to use it in like a beneficial way. I try to like dive into what it is that's eating at me and why that is. Like, what judgments have I placed on that situation? Reflection allows the time and the space to really thoughtfully make a decision. And I'm all for following your intuition, and sometimes those are snap decisions, but they don't always have to be. So I took the time to weigh out my options. And I really dove into the sore spots in my career because I was still holding negative thought patterns throughout the evolution of my position there, and it was moving in a really great direction. It's exactly what I would have asked for when I graduated pharmacy school. Yet I needed to reflect on, was it this job, like this specific pharmacy? You know, for a while I thought I'll just switch pharmacies, but in my heart I knew that wouldn't solve the issues I was having, which was the profession isn't right for me, you know, which was not really obvious because I had just graduated. Why wouldn't it be right for me? I just spent all this money, I just spent all this time doing this thing, like why wouldn't I stick with it? So I think rumination is a negative term, so I named it reflection. Expansion doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and so I was really thinking about these things. This decision has, like many, brought a lot of unknowns, and so it's like I was preparing myself. Am I going to stay safe and uncomfortable in that way, just by staying safe money-wise, but unhappy in my heart? Or am I going to be happy in my heart and have the unknown be the money and making a living part of it? You know, it's time to weigh those options. So this is one of my favorites, and one of my favorite things to teach is authenticity. So you have to know yourself, right? To make these decisions, you have to be firm in what you believe in. And that's why I say it was really difficult. I have made these really sweeping decisions before that have always been good for me, but I had never had to consider like my little one, my family, you know? And regardless of that, I have to still look inward. I have to know in my heart what is the right decision, because if I don't know that, I will waver. I will go wherever someone else's opinion leads me. Whereas now I had finally come to that decision, like this is what I'm going to do. I'm looking at people for support and not validation. I started asking for what I wanted. When I took the management position, it was a little bit more like, okay, that I wasn't really paying attention. Like that's what's next. I wasn't really being intentional about it. Whereas after I got out of the management position, it was like, okay, I want clinical, like I've explained, and I want to work a little bit less, and I want my benefits, and I want to do this, and I want to connect with people. So it's really interesting how when I actually expressed who I was and what I wanted in my career, those things happened. I was able to set up diabetes education. I was able to set up more opportunities to immunize. I was able to have one-on-one coaching situations with patients. That's through being honest with myself, one, and having the courage to tell others more about myself. When you're a new grad especially, you're coming out into the world just hoping to get a job, and you might be sacrificing. I'm sure many of us were. We just need to land a position, and so you're not really calling the shots. But when you're being authentic, you're saying, universe, this is what I want, come to me. And so that's why it's really important to be authentic, because even the way I was following my heart, it led me to here. You get clear on what you want, you think about it a little bit, you ask for what you want, ask the universe. That's prayer, right? Be authentic. This is what I really actually want. Be truthful, and your vibrations will support that. That's what, okay, that's another story. Law of attraction, sorry. So then the fourth lesson is belief. Okay, now you've got to believe in yourself, because there's no other option, right? Like, you finally know what it is that you want. Like, go get it. Know that it's going to happen. There are two options. What feels better, to think that you're gonna fail or to know that you're going to succeed? So when you're directing that energy, direct it towards you succeeding. Instead of thinking about all the things that can go wrong, think about what can go right. Like, that is essentially life. You can choose which way you're going to feel, because you can't really predict what's going to happen, but you can believe that it's going to be the best thing, or you can believe that it's going to be the worst thing, which is some of us have been really conditioned to do. But if you can move the scale towards loving yourself and loving what's coming and knowing it's going to be okay, that's what belief is. And you have to believe it in your heart first. Like, that is the first part to manifestation, is believing that it's going to happen, expecting it to happen, knowing it will happen. And then others around you sense that confidence, and they'll believe in you too. And if they don't, so bye people. I can't have that. I cannot have that in my life. I need to know that if you're behind me, you know it's going to happen for me too. And so my friends and family have been so supportive. Even all of my coworkers and my boss and my old job, they are 100% behind me, because they know this is my passion. And that just feels really amazing. Oh, another thing would just be to, like, believe in the timing. I'm not an overnight success. I'm still out here grinding. Like, I knew that leaving my job wouldn't mean I don't work anymore. Like, I am working twice as hard. I am staying up. I am doing things during nap time. I would love to take a nap right now, but I am so excited about this, and I believe in the timing, that I'm just going to keep putting in the work, and the universe will let me know when it's my time to shine. Oh gosh, so this surrender is the fifth lesson, and it's really difficult for me because I'm a control freak, but you have to give something up. And I don't mean that in like a really sacrificial, hustling, like you must bleed to have success kind of way. I mean, like, something's gotta give, and you have the choice on what that is. You have to keep making space for the universe to bring you something bigger and better. For me, one of the easiest ways to do this is like negative energy. I was holding a lot of negative energy patterns in my old job, and I was really still doing the coaching, but on the side and after hours, and when I got home I was just focusing on it. But it's like I needed to let that go so that I could make room for the universe to bring me something else, and I can surrender and say, I'm not sure what this looks like yet, universe, but I'm just trusting that you'll bring it to me when the time's right, and what I can do right now is just clear space, just make room, right? And so I think, especially for a lot of us anxious people, you hold on to scenarios and ideas, and it's not healthy. So I don't know what is to come for my future, but I do know that I've made space for whatever it is. A really interesting exercise that I learned from Abraham Hicks is to make a to-do list for your day or week or whatever. And on one side you write out your to-dos, your top things to do, and on the other side you list out what you'd like to hand off to the universe. Like, there are some details and some things that you just don't have to worry about. Like, for me, it's filling these spots. It's filling my one-on-one coaching and my my workshops and that sort of thing. Like, I've never had to do that before. I'm not a marketer. What I do know is I'm great at creating content. I'm great at connecting with people. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. And I'll let the universe pick out the people and whoever is going to join me, right? So surrender energy, surrender the idea and your timeline, your really rigid physical timeline. This is just your opportunity to ease up a little bit, because the less negative we're carrying, the less of that we're attracting, and we're making room for something bigger and better. Okay, the sixth lesson is joy, and it's one of my favorites because it's happy. Like, what is there not to love about joy? So you need to practice experiencing joy. And this is really, really interesting to me because you get what you put out, right? So in my position, it was really easy for a while for me to come home and complain, which was not serving me. And so instead, I started feeding into what I loved. Like, I would go to work, I'd have an okay day, but maybe it didn't bring me joy, or I would have an off day. But instead of coming home and harboring all of that negative ickiness, what I did is I came home, I played with my baby. When he went to bed, I took my relaxing bath and I got out my journal and I started creating content for the Fly Workshop. Like, that is why the Fly Workshop is what it is because it was my passion after hours. Instead of focusing on what did not go right at work, I just focused on what was going right at home and all the positive energy and emotions I felt while I was creating this course. Like, and I didn't know that this decision was coming. I mean, I had an idea that maybe like next year or sometime in the future we'd just hit the lottery and then I'd be able to quit my job. You know, like, I had no idea. I wasn't even thinking about like, I'm gonna hustle so hard. I was just thinking about coming home and experiencing joy. I did whatever I could to fill me up at night so that when I went to work the next day, I wasn't just like holding grudges and stuff too. So it worked both ways, that it was healthy for me to just be joyful. But I think what really happened as a catalyst was me amping up the joyful, appreciative, happy vibrations, universe picking up on that and sending more of it my way. And that's what happens. You attract what you put out. I put all my energy into joy and I got joy, instead of putting all my energy into negative and getting more negative. I just almost ignored that piece. And that was just self-love. That was just self-preservation, was knowing that if I kept on with what was not making me happy, I would burn out. And so to make sure I was fueled for the next day, I just dove into what I loved, and that brought more of it. This is something that will come naturally if you don't make time for it. So my philosophy is to set aside moments to be still, plan for moments to be still, because if you don't, you will become run down and your body will get sick and you will have to stay still. And I just don't have time for that. I don't like being low energy. So instead, what I do is I plan for moments of stillness. When you're still, you receive downloads, you receive wisdom from your intuition, your source. Because your source knows what you really want, which can get really clouded by all the busyness from day to day. When you're still, you have a moment to pick up on what your intuition is trying to tell you. And I call these synchronicities. So I am so into angel numbers lately, and anything that will send me on a wild goose chase, I follow. So I am really actually a horrible person at being still. I'm a multitasker through and through, and so what I do to make myself be still is I take a bath. Water is so healing for me. Water in itself is a big theme in my life, like many, I'm sure. And so when I'm in the bath, I reset, I journal, I can't really move, I can't do much, and so that's my time to just pick up on like what signs the universe has been sending my way throughout the day or throughout the week. And I'm googling things and I'm looking up angel numbers and I'm choosing my stones, and I'm just like, that's something really creative that I love to do, is just journal in the bath, but which brings in more joy. But really, stillness is that time to pick up on what you are supposed to be hearing, and hopefully you gain some wisdom. I don't really have a huge example of like this big decision and stillness, but I do know that I spent a lot of time in the bath as a winding down, I don't feel like I got a lot of insight on pharmacy and that job specifically, but I did get a lot of insight and content from just sitting and reflecting on my own life. And so I think that's helped me to get where I am right now too. Okay, So the very last lesson is on abundance. Abundance is the cherry on top. It means you're ready for plenty. The more that I'm learning about myself through my astrological chart and practicing law of attraction, I am better able to dissolve all of my blocks around money specifically and lack mentality. So abundance is a new way of operating for me. I used to be, like many, like just stuck in lack mentality. I was never good enough. I never had enough time, never enough money, always in debt, etc., etc. It was a theme that just kept getting repeated in my life. And right now I'm learning, and this was just like the final step for me as I jumped from a secure pharmacy job to this life where I'm building something brand new. Like, I have no reason to believe in lack mentality. I just have to be present in the here and now, because that's all I have, and what I have is really freaking good. So with abundance, it's just important to know that everything ebbs and flows. Money is a resource, money is currency, and it will come into my hands and it will leave my hands. And so I don't need to hold on to it with a death grip. I don't need to hold on to this position and this like security blanket with a death grip, because I have to know I'm gonna be okay. And if I'm like not gonna let my family starve, right? Like, I will figure it out. And it just came to that, where I was feeling, when I thought about quitting my job, I was feeling relief. And that's how I knew it was time to leave. And although scary, I just had to know it's going to be okay, because I'm doing the thing that I want to do, that my heart's telling me to do. And all of the other examples of the times that I've done this, leaving my ex-boyfriend, moving across the country when I was 5 months pregnant, just the other times that I have made huge leaps and scary decisions, I have always been rewarded when it has been following my heart. And so, like, for people that are maybe more science-minded, that's the evidence that I have to give to you. I don't know how you measure and track following your heart, but I know from experience that when I've done that, it's always been okay. And so I think that's a piece behind abundance mentality too, is just knowing that you will be taken care of. I have enough right now, and the more that I get, the more I'm just going to redistribute it. I'm going to redistribute the wealth. And so I'm deserving of that, because I know it's going to be in good hands. It's really funny how I went from being unhappy in my dream job to actually living out my dream job. And so here I am. I'm here to connect, I'm here to support, and I kind of just took you through my mindfulness principles and how I got from quitting my secure pharmacy job to loving life as a mindset coach. And that was another thing too. It was just like, I cannot preach to these people, find your happiness, be authentic, when I am not doing that myself. And so here I am living it out, and it's only gonna get better. So, okay, download Light Lessons so you can take these principles and apply them to your own lives. But if you, and those are all free, that's free for you. But if you want to coach with me through email correspondence by filling out your journal and sending it my way, you will get 15% off by using the code LEAN-IN. I want you to lean into life and lean into your authentic self, and share that with your friends too. So leave comments below, let me know what you'd like to see in the mindfulness realm, because I'm here for you every nap time. You can visit me at tidytour.com. You can find me on Instagram at tidytour. And this has been a pleasure. I've loved chatting about this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.